My name is Hayden Baker and welcome back to Hayden Cinema, and today we're going to be talking about the movie The Substance. So the setup of The Substance is basically you have Demi Moore, who's playing Elizabeth Sparkle, who was a sex icon and like a star beyond none in the 80s in the film. The film opens up with like a great metaphor and a shot. Her star, they're paving the pavement and cutting out the shape of the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and then you basically watch this star grow old, as in you see it fresh, you see it brand new. You see Elizabeth Sparkle on the star, paparazzi, and then you see the fame of the star, and then you see the star getting stepped on and walked on and ignored and not acknowledged, and then you see it start to crack down the middle, and then you see people dropping food on it. And that is a great metaphor for what this movie is about. Also, the second one being, the film also opens up with an overview of this egg yolk. And someone puts the substance inside the egg. Then you see this egg slowly start to shake and then multiply. There's another great metaphor and setup for the film. So going into this one, I wasn't sure what to expect, honestly. And I've heard that it's the best body horror since whenever, or it's the best horror movie of 2024. It's the craziest thing anyone's ever seen in years. And normally when you hear stuff like that, it's a lie. It's not true. It's overhype. But with this one, it's pretty freaking true. I immediately want to say what a wonderful job that the director of this film, I believe her name is pronounced Coralie Forja. I might be wrong. I hope I'm not butchering that. But she is also the director of the film Revenge, that was a pretty popular film. It's like one of those I Spit on Your Grave type movies. She has also directed this film. She does a wonderful job with this film, and I just off the bat wanted to give her flowers for this. Seems to be a really great 1-2 punch with her, and I can't wait to see what she does next. In my personal opinion, Demi Moore gives a performance of a lifetime in this. Now, I was born in 2004. I hope I don't make some of you feel old out there. But I grew up watching Nothing But Trouble with Demi Moore and Chevy Chase, and a couple of other films that I can't necessarily think of the title of right now. But I wasn't too familiar with her work other than those couple of films from the 80s and 90s. But in this, hands down bar none, is one of the best performances I've ever seen in my life. Now, there are tons of things to take away from this film, but with the main message of the film being how Hollywood and society as a whole treats mainly women in Hollywood and sexualize them, and as soon as they're not sexually appealing or not as sexually appealing as they were a few years ago, again, society and Hollywood as a whole kind of dump them to the side like the trash and objectify them. And not even trying to get into the woke talk, but that is a very true thing that does happen and happens now, has happened in the past, and unfortunately might happen forever. But with this film and with the theme and the message that it is going for, I truly believe that Demi Moore was perfect casting for this. She has what I believe to be maybe personal ties to the message here, and she really brings that out and brings her frustrations out in the role. And there's a couple of scenes that aren't even doing with anything with the body horror, but things that she does that to me feels really real, that someone in that situation would actually do. Where there's a scene where she's supposed to be going on this date, and then she's getting ready, and she's having a hard time getting ready for this date, and between her getting fired from her job and, again, society, her boss, Hollywood pushing her out like she's nothing, she feels really insecure, and she shows that throughout the film, but when it gets to this point, it's like at an all-time high, and then she's pissed, and she's mad at the world, as she should be, and she just starts just smushing her face and scrubbing it, and it gets really ugly, but it's a very real reaction and a very real scenario that many people, and not just women, but many people, men included, go through. And her frustrations, again, are very real, and they come out as so. And I don't think I've seen such a convincing performance come out of an actress or an actor in a long time, and not as convincing as this is. Also, Margaret Qualley was really good in this as well. She gives a really great performance, and the film being about how the rules are laid out pretty simple here, where Demi Moore, the Matrix, has to take the substance, and when she makes her switch to her younger self, which is Margaret Qualley, they give her the name Sue in this. She has to switch every 7 days, to where she goes from the Matrix to the other body, which would be Margaret Qualley, and then they switch back every 7 days, and they have feeding tubes and everything to keep the other person alive. Now, as long as these rules are obeyed, everything will go smoothly. But once they are broken, and they do get broken, severe life-threatening consequences ensue. Now, as the concept itself isn't a real thing, it's very believable on how it's portrayed, and I think Margaret Qualley does. Am I saying that right? Margaret. I'm so sorry. Margaret Qualley does really well in playing the younger version, and she gets real stingy and real bratty, and also the camera focuses on her more or less looks, her physique, her body, and there's a lot of close-up shots to her body. The camera itself is kind of giving men's point of view of women, young, hotter women in Hollywood and in the world. But the camera focusing on that is a very real point, that a lot of men do focus on that stuff and do objectify women. And so Qualley gives a very respectable and just an amazing performance as the younger version of Demi Moore. And by the way, she looks just like Demi Moore from the 80s. Like, she looks like a legit younger version of her. Also, I have to talk about Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid gives one of the creepiest performances I've ever seen as far as realistically goes. There are real Hollywood producers that are just as creepy and creepier than him in real life. And he plays that creepy, perverted, narcissistic, very selfish Hollywood producer, your typical one. And that's actually very, very standard in Hollywood. Also, I really like, I don't know if this is what they were going for. As far as I know, they didn't acknowledge a last name for him, but his character's name is Harvey. And if you know anything about Hollywood, is that one of the biggest Hollywood producers was Harvey Weinstein. And he kind of went down a really nasty trail with the abuse and harassment, sexual harassment towards women, and I've heard men too. But I thought that maybe, as clever as the writing is in this movie, that his name was given Harvey for that specific reason, but they didn't put a last name to maybe leave that out to the audience to determine. But again, his performance is so satirical and kind of hilarious in the way that he just runs with it. But if you look at it from what it actually is, it's really disgusting and really scary, honestly. But it's super fun watching him do that, and it's a really entertaining time. Again, not saying his character's a good person or anything. I'm just saying the performance he gives, as outlandish as it is really entertaining to watch. Also, one of my favorite films is a movie called I Can Only Imagine, and he plays the father in that. That's kind of a pretty dark role he plays, but this is by far, by a long shot, the darkest role he's ever played, that I've seen, anyway. Now, the gore itself. Now, I watched this probably a month ago. I bought it on Blu-ray. I wasn't able to go to the theater and see it. I have a full-time job, and so it's really hard for me to get out there and go see movies all the time every weekend and see all the new releases. But when I can, I do, and if I can't, I will buy them on Blu-ray or watch them V.O.D, and if I like it enough, we'll eventually buy it on Blu-ray. But I bought this, and me and my girlfriend watched it, and she checked out as soon as the third act started. She checked out, but I finished it and I watched it, and the gore is gnarly. I actually just watched The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, for the first time, and probably about 3 months ago, 2 months ago maybe, and up to that point, that was the best body horror, graphic, just disgusting effects with, again, the body horror or whatever kind of horror you want to call it. Just the gore. It's the craziest gore I've ever seen up to this point. Not gonna lie, The Substance gives The Thing a run for its money. No joke. It is insane. And when I told my girlfriend that, she was like, no, I'm not watching that with you. But I was like, but, it could be a third act thing. And that's honestly what I was assuming. I was assuming the first transformation was going to be gnarly. And then maybe the last few 15 minutes maybe might be really crazy. And no. It's like as soon as the switch happens for the first time, there's things maybe every 10 minutes. And that's generous. The longest break, I believe, is probably 10 minutes from the gore. It's not even that bad that it takes me out of the film. It's amazing. And I'm so happy that it got special effects and makeup Oscar this year. And it's so deserved. Now, you can fuss and complain all day long about how unfair it was, or if you agree or disagree with the outcome of the Oscars this year. I actually liked Nora, and I can't really put a hard argument against Mikey Madison. I really liked her performance in that. But it's just a great story in and of itself with Demi Moore, and it's a real story, and it goes perfect with the message of the film, and the fact that she didn't get it kind of proves a point. You have Demi Moore, who's in her later age of life, and you have Mikey Madison, who is the young, hot, coming up actress who just got her first Oscar maybe 4 or 5 years into acting, and she got an Oscar for a stripper love story. It's also something to say about horror not being acknowledged as well in Oscars, and when they are, they're cheated pretty hard. But as far as the effects go alone, the practical effects are, again, some of the best, and I will forever champion this film. And from now on, whenever I point to examples of practical effects versus CGI, or practical effects with a nice small blend of CGI that works very well, this and The Thing are what I'm pointing at. Now back to the Oscars. If you've watched my channel, I've been reviewing the Final Destination franchise, which one of the bigger stars in the whole franchise is Tony Todd. Rest in peace, Tony Todd. Staple in cinema. Will forever be a staple in cinema. And I really... It breaks my heart, and it's disgusting to me. And it's very distasteful that the Oscars didn't mention him in their memorial. But overall, I thought that this was a really well-made movie. I thought that the writing was fantastic. I thought the directing was one of the best of last year for sure. And I truly think this is Demi Moore's best performance. And I'm really happy that I watched this one. If you're weary of blood or if gore or anything like that messes with you, then you don't watch this maybe. But you know what? Watch it. It is worth it. Just watch it. But my overall rating for this movie is going to be 4.5 out of 5. There's not a whole lot that holds this movie back for me, if really anything. But I do not give out 5s to anything, hardly ever. There are some. Those are in my favorites. But this is, I think now maybe in my top 20. Maybe 30 of all time. That's a really hard list to get on, so if you haven't already, go watch it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this just as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And I'm upping my production here a little bit. I finally got me a pretty decent mic here, so look forward to more videos, obviously, and I have my Final Destination movie series that I'm reviewing. I have 1 and 2 up. Part 3 will be coming in the next week or two, and I will be doing now. I did a poll on X, and I put on there, which would you rather me watch and review the entire Spider-Man series or the entire Transformers series, including Transformers 1 and Transformers 1? So that look forward to that coming pretty soon. You can follow me on X, TikTok, Instagram, and now Facebook. Today I made a Facebook page, so go on all of them. All of them are the same username, Hayden Cinema, and come join the conversation. We talk about movies, shows, anything entertainment wise, and let's debate, let's talk, and let's all have fun. Have you seen The Substance? And if you have, let's talk about it down in the comments. And if you haven't, feel free to tell me how you felt about the video, I guess. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.